Where do you want me to sit? No, it's okay like that. Yeah, because you have slides. Wherever you want to sit. Do you want to sit here? Where do you want to sit? Because she's going to walk around. So you can sit wherever you want.
Yeah. Okay, I'll sit there.
Sorry.
Shall we start?
Sit here if you like.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Beautyworld. It is actually day 2, and everyone's very clever wearing very comfortable shoes because it is a lot to cover. How many have you? Is this your first time here? First time. Okay, good. So they've established these talks, and I think it's really great because it's literally insider information. And what you're going to learn over the course of the next hour is really learning about how to understand the consumer. And especially now, over the past year and a half, I think a lot of companies, especially in the beauty and consumer side, have really had to understand their consumers' needs. It's not as simple as having that brick and mortar building where people are walking. You now have to have this technical element when it comes to e-commerce, but really understanding your consumer is the most important. And data is the key word for today. So today I am so excited to start the morning. Let me start off with Amna Abbas. She's from EUROMONITOR, and she's a senior analyst, right?
Consultant,
Even better, at EUROMONITOR. And if you're not familiar with EUROMONITOR, it is definitely a company you should put on your radar. They are constantly analyzing consumer data, consumer patterns. So she's going to actually do the technical side of the presentation. I'm going to moderate it. I really want you guys to get the most of this session. So please put your hand up at any point, and we're going to get questions answered for you because there's so much to cover. And then next to me, of course, is Anisha Oberoi. She is the founder of The Secret Skin. It is an e-commerce site that has actually made headlines globally, receiving awards and nominations. Even last night, we were so excited to celebrate her company. What makes Anisha so interesting is her background is data. She was headhunted by Amazon India, and then coming to Dubai, she found a gap in the market, a very niche gap in the market, and has created an incredible platform that, again, is data-driven, really giving the consumer what they need when it comes to clean beauty. So I'm going to do a more in-depth interview with you guys, but I just wanted you guys to say hello to the audience before we kick it off.
thank you so much. Yes, as very nicely introduced, my name is Amna Abbas, consultant at EUROMONITOR. I've been in research and beauty for almost a decade now, and with EUROMONITOR for more than 6.5 years. So today is going to be an amazing session, and I'll let Anisha do a little intro before we get onto the slides, because we have a lot to cover.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm Anisha Oberoi. I'm the founder and CEO of Secret Skin. It's an e-commerce discovery platform that connects consumers in the Middle East to sustainable beauty brands from around the world, and it's focused on social and environmental impact. This week is our 1-year anniversary, and I'm happy to be here.
Yay!
Amazing. So let's get the ball rolling. So our content will focus upon exploring the new norm. Of course, we know a lot has happened in the past 1.5 to 2 years, and we are reaching kind of like a milestone when it comes to the pandemic and recovering from it. So what has happened during this stage with beauty and health, and exploring the space where we are going towards, what's happening within the beauty brands is what we are going to explore today. So moving forward, of course, everything that's covered over here is from research, and it is covered within EUROMONITOR's passport database as well. So we've introduced already, but just to give a little bit more information, we do have an office in Dubai, but because we are global, we have over 15 offices worldwide. We do cover consumer goods and service industry in-depth analysis over in 100 countries. And when it comes to economies and consumer, we have a wide coverage of 210 plus countries. The agenda, we are going to keep it a little spicy because we have so much interesting information. So what we are going to highlight is value creation dynamics that has taken up in 2020 and 2021 and how that is transforming. We are going to look at it of how it's happening from the consumer point and what companies are doing towards it. And we're going to keep like a hybrid panel discussion where we'll have lovely insights from the real company or brand and an e-commerce guru over here, Anisha, which will kind of relate with her examples and insights as well. So, what's happening? Definitely, we knew that globally, international, well-established players always led the market. And a lot of the time, it was led with the combination of what the industry thinks and what consumers are giving insights through various research or surveys to understand the consumers better through the businesses. There have been a lot of to and fro also where consumers are voicing their opinions and half gets heard and some gets stuck in the middle, and then so that's the process that's happening. With 2020, there was disruption unlike any other that we had imagined. And businesses were more than ever to accept things in a span of 3 months, which would have taken around 3 years or more to have been. What we have noticed, and it's one thing, is that health and wellness has become center stage when it comes to beauty. We all want to look hot, use our beauty products for that purpose, but we want to do it in the sense that in the short, mid, and long term, we are also healthy. I mean, subconsciously, a woman or man or whoever it is, we want to be standing at the age of 60 or 80 and be like, okay, I used products that were like healthy for me. None of them, I am 100% confident, contributed to any of my illnesses, you know. It had a positive impact of me, and I have to be proud of that. And now that's what's been understood now more by not only consumers, but also heard by brands and companies. So in the center of it all, the next normal focus is on wellness priorities. Now, I've split this, or EUROMONITOR has actually split this into 4 factors. One of them is simplicity and minimalism. We have product and price hybridity, trust and efficiency, and holistic wellness. And I'm going to dive a little into this. I'm going to stop over here also to get some opinion. So, 1, simplicity and minimalism. Now, we have to think beyond the words over here. What this stands for is not only communicating to consumers in a clean and easy way as our lifestyle becomes more hectic and more stressful as we are recovering as well, but at the same time, it also focuses on other aspects of your overall brand and its purpose, the product, the formulation. So it's looking at it from a holistic point of view, where you're looking at simplicity and minimalism and communicating effectively and in a holistic way from the brand, the content, and everything around it. And we did some surveys, a lot of them actually, not only few, but one of them is the Beauty and Personal Care Survey. And we found some very interesting insights about how this is being perceived by consumers, and it's in line with what I just said right now. And at the same time, we are seeing that consumers want to be better and want to know more also about it. If they see an ingredient on a package which is clear labeling, able to understand what's been actually written on the label and they can understand it, that saves them time to even Google, and then they relate to the brand and its evokes set more than ever. So this is something that is, as a fact, becoming more obvious, not only from consumers, but even brands are understanding this. So that's one aspect of this. The next is product and price hybridity. And this is something that's also very interesting to note because as we know, premium and mass brands exist, we also see that masstige brands are gaining more and more traction. I mean, the example that I would give that's very relatable is Carrefour's organic and natural aisle, which has kind of increased over the year. And we've seen that's like a starting basic point. Well, we are seeing that more and more brands highlighting elements when it comes to nature, natural, but that's just the basic. Now it's going to the next step, and various factors are included in it. It's all about purpose. It's about sustainable living. It's about the opportunity that comes in. It's about multifunctionality. A lot of the products I recently saw, hand sanitizers, which were made with rose water, and that had like a multifunctionality, like it smells good, it sanitizes, it gives you a nice fragrance to relax you as well. So these kind of elements, I mean, things can be simple, but they could really like work out multifunctional also at the same time. So we see more innovation, creativity about it. And some more interesting aspects we found about in our survey again is that 17% value growth of immunity positioned vitamin and dietary supplements in 2020, and 57% of global consumers spend an average of USD 6 to 20 on anti-aging products compared to 25% who spend USD 30. So we see there is variety happening over here. We see that consumers are looking at, like, I don't have to forego anything. If I want something, I'll go and get it. I'll look at it at various price points. I'll look at it how it will impact me in my health. I'll look at it in a holistic manner. So this is something that brands should be considerate about as well, as they're also looking at it in the forecast period and how that recovery takes place.
I'm actually just going to jump in here. If we can go back to that slide. So for anyone who's just joined, today we're talking about the new norm, and it's how consumers are, well, they've changed their pattern of spending and their behavior pattern. So today we focused on Amna. She's here from EUROMONITOR to talk about the analytics, but what is really interesting is we actually have a businesswoman here who has an award-winning business called Secret Skin. So I wanted to actually talk about product and price with you because it's really interesting. We talk about the consumer all the time in your platform. How important is that consumer looking at price when she checks out?
The most important aspect. So I'm going to take you right back to how we started in order for you to understand how the pricing architecture was built on Secret Skin. So when I moved here about 2.5 years ago, I still thought that I was going to continue working for Amazon or maybe another corporate organization. But then I realized that there was a very interesting gap here because due to my background, because 11 years ago, I survived a dangerous bout of breast cancer, and in the last 11 years, I've really had a very big interest in clean beauty brands and the way that the world is progressing towards a more healthier, mindful lifestyle. And when I came here and I wanted to replenish my products, I saw there was a question around authenticity because platforms were selling brands that were not legally registered here or they didn't look real. They were probably sourced from the black market. B, if I had to buy something from, as a UAE customer, if I had to buy something from outside, like Cult Beauty or maybe the brands from the US or the UK or Southeast Asia, I was paying between 50 and 85% overage in shipping and customs, and I was waiting 2.5 weeks to receive it. It made absolutely no sense because the customer care was not local.
And your cleanser is done, and your cream is done. You want it right away.
Right? Because in today's day and age, and we're talking pre-COVID, we're talking how Amazon has completely shaped the whole experience of shopping online, where everything is available as quickly as you think that you want it, and it should be at your doorstep the same day or the next day. So I said, listen, this doesn't make any sense. I was talking to myself at the time. So I took $1,200 and I started ordering from different platforms in the UAE and in the UK and the US. And that's how I decided that there was an opportunity here, because I had spent 5 years at Amazon growing and launching the beauty business as well as the fashion business in India and Australia. I moved here And I said, wow, here's an opportunity to do something that has never been done before. And that's how we started Secret Skin, because it was actually an online connection of all my favorite things, a top-to-toe offering across the different price points, because I didn't want the customer to go anywhere else. So when we were looking at the blueprint of Secret Skin, yes, the architecture of pricing, selection, convenience, with an added layer of experience was paramount to creating the benchmark of the value proposition for the customer. So I said, let's have local fulfillment. Let the customer have free shipping. So we had free shipping for the first 9 months. Let there be an opportunity for the customer to understand that the misconceptions that I was trying to kill is A, clean beauty is not luxurious, B, it's not accessible, C, it's not affordable, and D, it doesn't perform. So now we see, because we look at data, because my background is data and Secret Skin is a data-run platform, we look at consumer behavior, trends, patterns, we have heat maps, we look at scroll depth and dwell time, we look at what consumers are spending more time on, we're looking at who's clicking on the emailer and going and buying the product, which is also being promoted on the Instagram. And we also know that we need to be able to offer the right price to the consumer for that particular brand that the other platforms are offering, otherwise we lose the consumer.
So that's a great point. So I don't know if there are any business owners here, but it's really important to make sure that you really know who your consumer is. And that's what we're really trying to get across in this session, is really understanding consumer behaviors. You're welcome to take photos of the slides, right? So you can take photos of the slides, because EUROMONITOR is very expensive. So take all this data as much as you can, get your phones out, and of course, tag Beautyworld, because we're so happy to be here and having you. I'm going to go on to the next slide, but I really want this to be interactive. If you have a question, put your hand up. We're going to get them answered for you, because we actually have these two experts here. So for the next slide, we're on trust and efficiency.
Have a question already.
Oh, there's a lady who... Hi. Good morning.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Perfect. So moving on now, trust and efficiency. So definitely we know that there is the trend of herbal, bio-driven products, etc. But at the same time, we also see that it's back to basics with more credentials, more science-backed experiences, and clinical efficiency, assurance, safety, and transparency element also coming into the picture. So we see that, of course, although everything is already existing in the present and has already been there in the past, it's all about how do we make that the next level much more efficient and consumer worth the consumers buy as well as we go forward into the forecast period. And that's why we see that although we have derma cosmetics, doctor brands offering in clinics, scientists, and medical related, when that kind of an opinion comes into the picture, we do see that credibility naturally increases. So definitely we all know, oh, this brand contains this ingredient and that ingredient, but the science-based, or like saying that it is formulated like this, the transparency about giving the consumer in a very simplified manner that what does the brand stand for and how is it efficient for the consumer has become really important. And building that trust is really gaining momentum. For brands that create that trust through their communication have seen that happen to be in the evoke set of consumers as well. So this is something that we've also found. And very interestingly, what Roseman asked and what Anisha highlighted kind of very seamlessly gets onto this slide, where it comes to, you've got a great product, now I want it. I want it as soon as possible, because I have other products too waiting for me. So when it comes to, of course, again, e-commerce, that was like the basic technology that we saw speeding up to. So with that starting up, what's next? And Anisha, with you having like an Amazon background, I would say that's like a kind of a really relatable option. But what we see is with that great digital building, what's at the back of it is like digitally enabled formulation, transparency, advanced blockchain technologies, how to make that whole process seeping into the whole understanding consumer, what do they want, what are they going towards online, or even through other platforms platforms which are available beyond online, on the website, on social media, etc. So it all comes to a holistic digital being of the brand and the company itself. So it's about creating that evoke set for the consumer, where you have a great product, you're communicating it well, and through the use of technology, you're improving the product itself, but at the same time, you're also making sure that the consumer is getting it on time, and they're excited about it when they receive it in that quick amount of time. So this is something that is spot on, that has been conveyed over here by, so thanks for asking that question. Yeah. So yes, with that also, the next point I'm going to say, brands harvesting own ingredients. We can relate to it very easily. The Body Shop has been doing this for years. So what's new about this, right? Now it's going to the next level. We know that, for example, I know Aveda from Estee Lauder, they've been experimenting on sourcing to a level where they can track exactly which ingredient came from which country and from which farm using technology. So they are using more like RFID systems and other systems to track on the granular level and trying to be more transparent and effectively tell that to consumers. So it's all there, but it's the next level. And that's what needs to be delved into as a brand or a company is creating the strategy not only for the present, so we are thinking short, mid, and long term how that's going to transfer over. So that's there, and of course, again, some of this is also backed up, a lot of this is backed up by researched data, including from our surveys. So holistic wellness is another fourth level of it, and something that I've already covered, so this is very relatable, but it's also about skin, body, and mind, and it's a holistic state. And I know Anisha has kind of highlighted this a couple of times, but I'm surprised because not only Anisha, a lot of the people that I've visited in Beautyworld in the last 6 or 7 years have kind of voiced it. And I'm just impressed, like how in Beautyworld, I've seen more and more products catering to the voices that has been spoken about. So it's just a testament, in a way, of how the world or how the beauty world is transforming and listening more and more. So what was that information? It was about health and wellness. People suffering from cancer and then being like, why am I using products for ingredients that I do not know of? So their reason for going towards ingredients that they understand, I mean, you're kind of putting it on you. And then, I mean, it's simple as like when you eat food, if you know that, you know, the food that you're eating, the fruits and vegetables have pesticides in it. So, I mean, the natural and organic trend. So it is a trend that has kind of come from food into beauty, but there's a very solid reason for it. And that's like a transition that we see more and more. So what do you eat? If you eat natural and organic, or if you're eating healthy or with less pesticides, I mean, unfortunately, sometimes I've by chance eaten some food products. I had a cucumber like a couple of years ago, and I was like, I can taste pesticide in it. I'm not going to consume it. And later on, I got to know they removed that stalk, and it was like, you know, that was like, I wouldn't have noticed ever. It was my feeling, but it happened. So when I am going to that level where I'm going to eat organic or natural or like less pesticide-driven food, why not do that with my skincare or health also for the future well-being? If I'm going in a cosmetic clinic taking like beauty treatments, it's a holisticness concept over here. So it's all about having a holistic way over here where your skin, body, mind needs are met. So this is an aspect that also has been realized now with consumers as well as with brands. And the last aspect of it I'll mention is sustainability. We've all heard of it. But now when you go to a well-established international brand's website, you will see sustainability having a separate page. That kind of, it's an initial start where I wouldn't say that they've gone all into it, but they've done the first step. And in the forecast period, they've already have strategic goals of how they're going to put that as an impact. So they've already started taking that into a deeper commitment. So that's like a great start and direction, and that's something that we agree with as well. I've kind of highlighted it
There's
all.
a question from the audience.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. If that's fine, it will be a quick one.
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
No,
please
go
ask,
ahead,
yeah.
please.
We can take one. Yeah, it's fine.
Sorry, just going back to the trust and ethics, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
So is this data like globally, or is it for the region?
Yeah.
In the other, is it, because I can't.
So this one is global, but we do have regional splits for this as well. Uh, the, uh, the, the depth of the percentage would not be exactly the same, but the trend is similar. So the direction is kind of similar. Okay? Yeah. Thank you. So moving on, and yeah. I just have a couple of slides before we make this a full-on panel discussion, all right? So I've kind of summarized and highlighted this already, but just to recap it, when it comes to a company meeting consumer trends, it's becoming increasingly important to convey or communicate consumers in an easy manner during this stressful life, while we are all eager to get onto it full board, throw away our masks. To simplify products and services, consider that consumers are going through mindful purchases and are considering products in their Evoke set. There can be cross-category synergies. The most easy example is of like how sanitizers have fragrances, moisturizing properties, etc. Evidence-based claims, you're building trust and efficiency. Purpose, very important, and holistic need state focus. So these are all like pointers that I kind of touched based upon. And then there are few examples, and for two of the examples, I would like opinion from our guests over here as well, because I know that a lot of them are being used and they have relatability to it as well. So if you don't mind, I'll ask Anisha about Amli Skincare, because I know Secret Skin also holds it. And
We are the only ones who have it.
perfect, yeah. And I was recently reading about it and getting to know about it as well, and I was just impressed that there was some relatability with Nick Jonas also, or something.
Just the fact that he's used it in one of his shoots, but it's not even an important aspect of what the brand stands for.
Perfect. So can you tell us a bit
Well,
about...
before talking about Amli, I mean, there is so much that we discussed in all those slides about customer transparency, about how consumers now have a change in their mindset with regard to what they look for. So I think that within the context of this particular brand, we should also talk about what are the changes that we've seen in terms of the setup of how people shop, and especially in this region. So Amli is just an example of a clean brand that we have, which is cruelty-free. It has all the certifications in place, but for a customer, the word clean, natural, organic, it's paralyzing. The data is paralyzing because you tell the customer through mass marketing that sulfate-free, paraben-free, and they're like, okay, let me read that at the back of a bottle, but what does it actually mean? It's people like me who, before onboarding a brand, will ask the brand, okay, so if your shelf life is 24 months, what is the stabilizing agent that you're using in it? Phenoxyethanol. Okay, what is the percentage of phenoxyethanol in it? So this trust and efficacy, we're the guardrails and the flag bearers of it. The customer is supposed to repose their faith on the platform and say, okay, we know that platforms like Secret Skin have done their due diligence on checking the boxes on whether the brand is cruelty-free, what are the claims, what are the reviews, have they spoken to the founders, have they legally brought the brand in? These are the trust parameters these days that customers are looking for. I think it's really important to understand as a business person that the customer is not stupid. There is a huge shift towards safety. Makeup is declining, skincare has been rising, which is why we've seen such a big incidence of skincare brands that are coming up into the forefront. And it's not just any skincare brand, it's brands that are founded by people of color. It's about the whole socio-cultural and political aspect, because we can't be tone deaf to the cultural moment of our times, that is creating this big wave of customers saying that I want to endorse a brand that stands for something. What are they saying?
Also that they relate to, right? That
And also that they relate
that
to.
they can identify with. I have so much to
Please,
ask you, actually.
go ahead.
Because,
I
First of all-
promise 5 minutes.
Yeah, but we're going to just highlight these products. We're going to finish
Absolutely.
these slides, and then we're going to go into this question answer. So Amli is available at Secret Skin. Do
It's
you have
from Sussex, and it's exclusive to Secret Skin. It's a homegrown brand in the UK, and it uses biotechnology and wild forage ingredients.
So what's interesting is Codex Beauty also uses biotechnology. And what's interesting about Codex, which is now available here, the founder created it for her son. Her son had really bad psoriasis growing up, and she wanted something that her son, literally if he went skiing, could put it in his mouth and he'd be fine. This is completely all natural. And what's fascinating about Dr. Barbara Podest, who actually created this, is she's not even interested in the commercial side. She created it for her son. It then went on to have this incredible following about her brand, but she's actually a scientist. So the factories that make the vaccines in California is a technology that she created. So she works as a scientist, her mind is a scientist, and her products are so interesting because everything is completely natural. So it's actually one of these brands that I am such a fan of, and we talk about it all the time. Fenty, of course, is available widely at Sephora. It's behind LVMH Group. Kando produces it, which is a part of LVMH Group. And of course, Rihanna is the founder. Rihanna's
All-inclusive shades.
All-inclusive shades. What's great about Rihanna's skincare brand, and I'm sure you mentioned this as well, is that you can actually see any photos of her, whether she is backstage or in her car. She actually uses her product. She had acne-prone skin. She actually cares about what's in her product, and everything is refillable, recyclable. I mean, she's actually really thought through about her skincare.
Amazing. See, you never realized making a deck that there could be relatability like that. Thanks for covering that for me. So yeah, I can talk about probiotic probiotics then. So we all knew about probiotics, and then there was prebiotics, and then we have always consideration that it's related to gut, but now it's also seeping into skincare. So with these aspects, we are looking at just some of the examples where there is relatability. By default, I did not have information that much about Codex, to be honest. So thanks for highlighting over there. So it's a small world, but it's great if it's easily communicated through efficient brand communication at this point with authenticity, genuineness, and credibility as a summarized way. So to wrap up, and I promised we'll have enough time for the panel discussion because we have so much to cover. To summarize it, I would say health and beauty, we're looking at in a very holistic manner. In the long run, when we are looking at innovation, whatever it is looking at the consumer in the long term as well, and we want the consumer to be beautiful and healthy. So it's kind of seeping into that kind of a direction. There will be some hybridity. It all started with what we obviously saw through e-commerce, but we see that coming more even when the pandemic hopefully will be called off officially globally by, let's say, the UN. So we have to be very mindful and aware when it comes to these aspects that this is going to be there for a while, and we have to be open and accept of that as well. Ingredient focus, we all knew that Ayurveda existed. We all knew it all existed. But now we have more knowledge, more power, and we have to utilize well. And then health and beauty, emotional connection. I mean, the pandemic had been enough to highlight the mental stress, to have tipped us off. I mean, at the end of the day, we just have to wear a mask and keep away, right? But it's not that simple as said. There are other things. We have heard of news in a rapid moment that we never did before. So being aware of emotional connection as well in a much more human way, it's going to be heard more and more. A lot of the people would have gone through an illness that they would be recovering from at one point of their life, and how beauty products could be subconsciously making an impact. Just realizing those levels, it all can be very simple but very in-depth and meaningful. So that's where we are looking at when we are looking at the future as well. And thank you so much from my side. If you want to contact me, feel free to do so. So I'll just put like a moment over here, and of course, Anisha can also we can get in touch and share contact later when we are off stage. If you're okay, I'll just move the slide now. And some of the pointers, it was so interesting, of course. Even I wanted to stop more, and but definitely something that we would like to discuss. And Roseman,
Yes.
I'll let you take the floor.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for that presentation, because EUROMONITOR is one of the best data research companies. So it's so nice to get actually a condensed version. So again, I don't know if you are business owners or executives, this is actually really interesting because there's so much information here. And one of the reasons I wanted to feature the founder of Secret Skin, Anisha Oberoi, is because I get to interview so many entrepreneurs and businesses, and yours always comes back as a case study for me. You actually hit all the points as an entrepreneur. You solved a problem, breast cancer survivor, you had a problem, you found it, you decided to solve it yourself and make it just a little bit better, right? Like, you wanted to make sure every brand is certified. Unlike a lot of brands and e-commerce sites that we actually found, a lot of brands were just coming literally by DHL. They didn't have the process of when it comes to the Middle East where you get all the paperwork. So that's pretty impressive as well. But in a space like an e-commerce site of natural beauty sites where you have all these e-commerce platforms, how do you select what brands you want to put on? Because there's a lot of, there's 10 halls worth of products here. How do you select what goes on your site?
Well, for us, it's a very strict due diligence process. There is a lot of research with regard to what brands are doing well in what region, what other platforms are they retailing on. If someone is on Credo versus somebody is on Cult, that's more important for us to take a look at. Because we know that these brands have gone through various processes and spent a lot of money in R&D in order to get the right certifications. If they're saying they're using organic ingredients, then do they have the right certifications? If they're saying that they're cruelty-free, do they have the right certification? Or else don't say it. We have brands that don't have the word organic on the box, which is fine. But then we have a list of the no list, right? No harsh chemicals, no sulfates, no parabens. We talk to the founders. I've never onboarded a brand without talking to the founder, because for me it was really important that the other partner understood their responsibility in building the brand in this region. Brand penetration and resonance cannot just be the responsibility of the retailer and not the brand itself. So we look at the reviews. We look at what the customers are saying about them. We get on Zoom calls with them. We talk to them about the pricing philosophy. We also tell them about how this region is structured and what you can expect, what is the timeline you can expect in which to grow your brand, because no one's heard of it before. So once they check those boxes, they submit their paperwork. We sign NDAs. We looked at the ingredient list. We look at the lab reports. We send them to the Dubai municipality. 22 days it takes to hear back. And then once the brand is approved, it gets sent to customs, freight, process, onboarding, and that's when we do the launch and the entire marketing aspect of it. It's a whole process.
It's pretty amazing. I think people don't realize the back end of what it takes to get a product on the market. So you can create something, but if you're doing it formally and correctly, it is a process that you actually have to add into your timeline for.
It's easier to take a shortcut, but we don't take that shortcut. We have lesser brands than the other platforms because we do everything like straight as an arrow.
And how are you communicating with your consumer? How are you getting that feedback? How do you curate your product list?
So a couple of things, right, Rose? For me, data is king and content is king because there is a huge element of education in this region. Why should the customer just switch from what they're using? What if they've never had an illness before? What if they don't understand that whatever you put on your skin gets absorbed by the bloodstream and has a downstream negative impact on your fertility and your hormones? What if nothing ever happened to me? You see, that aha moment doesn't arrive for very many people unless you start connecting the dots. It's easier to do that with food because if you have food that's laced with pesticides, you'll get sick the next day. But this is not the way it works with skincare and beauty. So when I was creating and curating Secret Skin, I said, There's no for man, for woman differentiation on the website because as technology advances, platforms have to be innovative as well as differentiate how they're going to stand out from the other platforms that are also selling the same brand probably at the same price because about 45% of our brands are exclusive to us and not sold on other platforms. So when we curate, I said that, okay, starting from the low-hanging fruit, which is the deodorants, the shampoos, the conditioners, the body washes, the body scrubs, and then going on to the more expensive serums, the sun care, the hair care. It is a very long list of everything that is used by men and women. And in this region, very interesting stats, whether you're a man or a woman in this region, between AM and PM, you're going to use 12 products. Whether it's skincare or beauty, and 12 is a minimum. This region has the highest digital penetration of anywhere in the world. It's more than 90% people are living online. 67% of people who shop are millennials, and these millennials are not guided by Jennifer Lawrence kissing a bottle of perfume. They're guided by what are you doing to preserve the turtles, for example, in a UN heritage site. Because values speak a lot more. So as a new age retailer and as a new kid on the block, I still consider ourselves as a new kid on the block, we have to be very cognizant to what the customer wants and how they want it and what are we providing as access. We have a beauty concierge. Rosamond can dial in, make a Zoom consult and speak to me or one of our beauty advisors to say, where we will say, listen, call me at 11 o'clock and make sure there's natural light and don't wear any makeup. So we're going to tell you we're not dermatologists, but we will tell you on the basis of your skin concern and skin types what you should be using on the website. Because I personally test every product that we put on Secret Skin. You were saying Brianna uses everything from her line. I use everything from our line.
No, I love that because for me, I think it's so important for founders to really be passionate. And, I love that you actually put Fenty Skin because one, I am a Fenty fan from the start. I love from her makeup line, she has over 40 foundations. I mean, anyone can find their shade. But what I liked about it is the more I started reading about it, and then I interviewed her when she came here, and I realized even when she opened her bag, even if there were other brands, there was still Fenty in there. And to me, that was legit. When I asked her to open her bag, she literally had her own product in there. And I think that's a testament to someone who is just not putting her brand out there or
you
selling
have to
her name.
walk it, talk it, you have to stand by it. Otherwise, you're going to get lost. Ours is a very unique and compelling story, but we don't milk the cancer bit. What we try to say is that we're not just another platform selling clean beauty products because it's viral, because the word vegan is something that everybody's looking for. We're actually focused on women's health and wellness and mindful consumption. We have a plastic recycling program where you can recycle your plastic and come back and earn equal rewards to shop on the platform. We have different collaborations in place with mission-aligned partners like NAPTA Health, for example, where we make these boxes for people going through hair loss for cancer or sleep and anxiety or perimenopause or depression. The doctors at Novamed and Cosmosurge actually recommend using our products because they know that we've gone through that standard of making sure that our products are toxin-free. We don't say chemical-free because there's nothing wrong with chemicals. Even the air has chemicals. So it's that education, coming back to your question of how you're communicating to your customers. A lot of the content is built on education, why you should be using it. What is the difference between a serum and an essence? Why is it that a toner is different from a mist and why you should be using that as a setting spray on your makeup instead of something else. So I think that the more that you educate, because people in the UK and the US are automatically going and buying clean beauty, which is why you have Credo flagship stores, brick and mortar, but we don't have them here. Why? Because people don't understand it. But they'll come around, but it's still a long way away.
So forecast period over there, next 5 years. That's like spot on, that's kind of what I highlighted. So it very easily, naturally gels onto it. And
people are spending, Amna. Yeah. So our average order value or what customers are spending on is the same as Sephora and Bloomingdale's here. My basket size is 2.3. That means people are buying more than 2 products. And the average order value is more than $110, which means it's healthy. People want to spend, but then how many of those Rosamond kind of customers or Amna kind of customers who understand the importance of clean beauty should I be able to find in UAE because it's a small market? So hence we rolled out to Oman and Kuwait. Now we're rolling out to Saudi because the idea, yes, you want to be profitable because you're not a non-for-profit, but it's the people, it's the passion behind protecting the environment which is important and trying to change people's mindset and consumption habits.
And
That's
you're
important.
doing this solely online, right?
It's only online right now. We had a pop-up Abu Dhabi Beauty Week in February, which was quite successful. But instead of having a proper brick and mortar store, I want to have like a conceptual hub where people can learn more about healing and nutrition and how it comes together, because it's not a matter of what you slap on your face.
I want to, sorry, I just want to toss it to number 2, because if there are entrepreneurs in the room and you are budgeting for marketing, which we're going to go into marketing very soon, but technology is a huge investment. How did you start to put all the platforms in place?
If I could
because
just
it's very
put
overwhelming.
if I could just put a starting line to this, of course, we knew that e-commerce just accelerated by double-digit growth in the Middle East, especially in UAE and Saudi. And I think that's around where your brand came around in
Exactly a year ago.
A year ago, and it's the 25th edition, I think, of Beautyworld. So it's anniversary season all across. But the timing and the moment. So online acceleration happened over here, one of the fastest globally. And the reason for that was also that we already had a very strong internet infrastructure and penetration. Each one of us has at least one or more smartphone. And then the penetration in UAE itself is close to 99%, if not 100. So almost everywhere there is internet around us. So that kind of really accelerated the trend. And one thing that you very nicely mentioned, and that's something that EUROMONITOR has also highlighted, is that e-commerce is essential. It's not optional anymore. However, it will be something that will be going hand-in-hand complementary to an online omni-channel hybrid experience, where the omni-channel or the hybrid experience will be there to just inform, educate, give that real touch and feel. And whether your product's available online or offline, the ease of buying is something wherever I buy, it's just easy for me to buy, really stands out. And that kind of coincidency also highlights, and I think you have a data background. And
I don't think that it's possible for a e-commerce player to just remain a website where you throw traffic, you pay money, and you expect people to buy. So when you start an e-commerce platform, it's the MVP, it's the minimal viable product. Now that you have the customers, you have to get more customers. The customer acquisition cost when you're new, because when people are searching for secret skin as well as the brands like Omni, for example, that you're bringing in, people know L'Oreal, they type L'Oreal. So you look at the highly searched keywords. People know Sephora, so they type Sephora. But the volume of searches, apart from the words like Sephora, are very low. What is really high is people typing natural, people typing more organic. But if we're not going to scale from this point, and we've been at MVP for about a year, we've got our investors, we launched at 7 brands, and now we're at 24. We're going to launch a subscription model. We're going to launch our app, which is going to be AI enabled. We're looking at a private label next year. We're launching into Southeast Asia. We can't just sit and be an e-commerce platform and expect customers to buy. Because the whole idea is not just to have more customers buying from you so that your sales increase, but also to build a community. Like we have.
I was going to say, actually, the key word is community, because you need that customer to keep coming back to you. And if you actually stop for 1 minute, just because you hit that goal, you always have to make sure your goalpost is always moving. So let's talk about marketing. How, I mean, in a very congested place and like the world of skincare and beauty, how do you stand out? How do you communicate to your consumers? What marketing tips do you think are successful to you? Because social media is just beyond big.
What's interesting is that, especially in Dubai, where consumers are very accustomed to looking at filters, enhancements, augmentation of all types, and never showing the real self on our Instagram. Everything that we shoot is shot in-house, is super relatable. I try and do a lot of content myself, and because I believe I'm very girl next door, our content really performs because the USP is the naturality and the openness and familiarity, which is relatable. So when we were designing, we know that we spend a lot of money on digital marketing. Why? Because we're online. You need to acquire digital customers. But am I going to lower the index on PR? I'm not. We keep having smaller and smaller events like brand launches, as well as marketing campaigns with mission-aligned partners in order to grow that brand awareness. Because in the beginning, the nascent stage of any company, brand awareness comes a lot before KPIs of conversion. So we have something called the Secret Skin Society that no other platform has. Secret Skin Society is a cohort of influencers that stand in the space of fitness, nutrition. We're not looking for people with 1 million followers. We're looking for micro-influencers who walk the talk. We don't want you to be using Secret Skin one day and peddling toothpaste the next day. We want people to be authentic and relatable, so we have these beautiful plus-size ambassadors as well who believe in positivity and positive body image. Then we've got someone who wears an abaya. We have someone who loves doing the flat lace. We have a variety of people, and we also have you who loves Secret Skin products. So everybody creates content in their own ways. When the customer sees a lot of these influencers who are more like brand ambassadors, that's what gets the word forward. Then they use our codes. And in the middle of COVID, because we can't do any demo and sampling pop-ups like this, for example, we would never have been able to afford something like this. We send GWPs, which are gift with purchases, so the customer gets an opportunity to use a new brand. And data tells us that they come back and buy a full-sizer. That really works for us.
I want to just tap into social media because it was one of the questions that was asked frequently, and I think people and businesses get very overwhelmed with choosing, I'll use the word influencers. And what is actually more successful is when a brand hires influencers that really relate to their brand. So it's very important that you choose people that represent what your brand ethos is. Don't get caught up in the millions and millions of followers because you'll literally just get lost in the mix. It's actually better to do smaller micro influencers that are so targeted to and in line to what your brand value system is. And it's one of the biggest tips I can actually tell businesses because they're so worried about raising that money to do one post for a huge influencer, which will probably delete in 24 hours.
And we're a startup. We can't afford to pay that. Neither do we want to get someone used to the fact that they're going to pay. Yeah. Because everyone over here is sent lavish gifts, and it's just not, we're clean, we're minimal, we're simple, we're bootstrapped, we're, the t-shirts and jeans culture, and that's really very important to us because we want people to even during our Zoom consultations, less is more. We'll never give you 12 products to use. Your AM and PM has 3 products that's going to overlap, and the rest are just going to be 2. Minimum, you'll walk away with 4.
No, that's brilliant. I think when we were talking about the new norm of the customer, so many smaller businesses were DMing, obviously, Beautyworld and asking how do you tie in social media and a small business? And I think you've done the right approach, is really finding people through Secret Society that connect and share the same values.
It's not just that. When you're talking to your social media and marketing team, you say that, okay, these are my 4 pillars. One is education, one is referral and recommendations, one is totally product and category focused, and one is also spreading awareness about sustainability. So when our box arrives, you have a card that talks about how the customer can be a part of the whole revolution of mindfulness and reduce your carbon footprint because you're buying locally. These brands have sustainability practices across the value chain of shipping, production, and packaging. So everything that we use no plastic, and the box is made with 100% recyclable, locally sourced material. So we get the consumer to feel like they're a part of the same ecosystem. Now you take that and you put it on your social, and then you get your publicist to also talk about, let's say, Amli and sleep. And then you have a very cohesive messaging so the customer doesn't feel cheated. That's how you bring it together.
it's such a lovely conversation. I could have it for another hour, but I know the time is ticking.
We should get questions.
Are there any questions?
We will be available for a while on the stage to take any questions as well. So, yeah.
We still didn't talk about biosynthetic ingredients. Amna, you and I keep
We
planning
have to get
do
in
this.
touch with the organizer for 2 sessions for next year. But jokes apart, yeah, I think I will call
That's
it-
the next
yeah,
stage.
that's the next-
Biosynthetic ingredients and
Yes.
genomics and personalization
The
is the next
future
stage.
is now, and we should talk about it. But yeah, it's always great being over here in this platform and communicating. So yeah, maybe if we have any last
No,
words.
I just wanted to ask you, you just celebrated 1 year right before we go.
It's on the 8th.
That's on the 8th.
Yeah.
What is the plan going forward? Because when a brand is going like this, you're on this high, where are you taking the brand next?
We recently rolled out in Oman and Kuwait, and this year my target is Saudi. And we're not just going to be doing cross-border shipping to Saudi by fulfilling here, we'll actually be fulfilling in Saudi. So we plan to penetrate the market with a...
And let me ask you really quickly, because I think
Yeah.
for small businesses, what are the challenges that you faced when setting up a business?
Oh, so many.
Okay, top 3.
Top 3.
20 seconds.
Oh, shoot. Wow. No one would give me a payment gateway because I didn't have an office. I had a flexi desk.
Okay,
So I pulled out my Amazon Rolodex and I said, let's get it going with Pay For It.
great.
Big guns. Number 2, a distributor refused to give me brands because my social media following was 4,000 followers.
No way.
And gave the big brands to Unas. And just gave me the low-hanging fruit. Never worked with that distributor. And also told all the brands entering here, please don't work with them. Their loss. Number 3, funding. But we waited and I held on because I wanted the right investor who would bring more than money to the table. And now we have 4.
I just wanted to highlight that because we always talk about these amazing businesses, and I wanted to actually point out that Anisha's gone through so much to set up this business, and you know, you've done it the right way through data, finding the right investors that bring something to the table. So many people can write a check, but if they're not bringing value to you, it really doesn't help, and it kind of goes back to the Dragon's Den model if you've seen the show, or Shark's Tank. We're going to be hanging out here for another 10 minutes. If you have any questions, please ask. Thank you for being a part of Beauty World. Thank you for attending today. You guys are amazing. It's so nice kicking off the morning with you guys. And it's day 2, so hopefully you'll make your way around. And of course, there's one more day for Beauty World. But thank you for joining us today, and thank you for joining me. Thanks, Amna. Thanks,
Thank
Anisha.
you.
And if you have any brands that you want to introduce to Secret Skin that are clean,
Yeah,
please send
go.
them my way.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.